Online features in Pokemon games have been a thing for a long time. When Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Pearl were released, they made use of the online connection of the Nintendo DS, and some of those features are still very well remembered nowadays. I used to love the GTS and spent a long time in the Global Trade Station website. Others played a lot on the underground with things like Capture the Flag. But nowadays, these things are way more part of the actual gameplay. And could that end up being a bad thing? Well, hey, I'm not so a strainer, and what is wrong with going online? Let's get into it. I want to start this by saying that in the present, or when a game actually comes out, the online features are in no way, shape or form a bad thing. In fact, I think they are necessary for a Pokemon game to be a complete success. And also, by online features, I don't really mean battling and trading, but the added multiplayer things we've been seeing since Sword and Shield. Things like raids, the Union Circle, etc. As I said, Pokemon has had online multiplayer options for a long time, but only recently did those things become integral for gameplay. Just like you liking and subscribing is an integral part of this channel. And while before, those things were mostly just fun things to do on the side, now they actually help with the experience. In Pokemon Sword and Shield, taking down higher level raids in order to get yourself specific Pokemon is kinda bad with how dumb the NPCs are. Everyone is sick of Solrock and its constant use of cosmic power. The same goes for Dynamax Adventures. Playing with the AI is a recipe for you to end up not even reaching the final boss. Granted that sometimes playing it with other people also brings the same results, but it happens less. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet brought raids once again, and unless you have people or know about the specific strategies, 5 and 6 star raids can become a bit problematic. I'm not even mentioning 7-star raids since those are a whole nother story. The Union Circle isn't as relevant for the most part, but you do need to do it in order to evolve your Finizen into Palafin, though you can also find a Hero Fella in raids. In the Blueberry Academy though, things become a lot more noticeable. Doing BBQs alone in order to unlock all of the spawns is incredibly tedious, but it is fun with other people. Then there are the legendary Pokemon from Snacksworth. Some of them are actually locked behind multiplayer BBQs. So yeah, right now those things aren't really a problem, but in the long run, they will 100% be one. Older Pokemon games up until Let's Go, and you can even add Legends Arceus and BDSP to that mix, they don't have this issue, but it appears that the main game of a generation really does have it. You can still pick up any of the Pokemon games from your collection from Gen 1 to Gen 7, and while you will not have access to online features, the games will bring you virtually the same experience they did back then. None of their online multiplayer things were intertwined with gameplay to a point where you would notice it. Even if you're new to the series and buy one of those games to experience it, you'll not feel like you missed out on anything. The same thing won't happen in a few years when you pick up Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet. Raids, for example, even if online is still working for the Nintendo Switch, will be a desert, completely bare of companions for your adventure. In fact, this whole video comes from OddCypher mentioning in one of my streams that nobody ever finds his satchels in Pokemon Legends Arceus, a game that doesn't really rely on the online features to exist. A game that is actually very fun to go back to, but that proves that with time, every game ends up a little bit forgotten, or their features end up a little bit forgotten. While it won't break your experience in games like Legends Arceus or BDSP, I mean we waited forever for online stuff in BDSP and frankly I never used them in the end, so yeah, nobody did or will ever really care about those, but in games where key aspects of the gameplay and story/post-story progression are built around features where you either need or are much better off having other real people with you, it might be a very negative thing. I expect these online multiplayer features to carry a lot more weight in future main generation games, and while this is awesome for those that will be experiencing those games as they come out, there should be a way to future-proof those games, a way to make them enjoyable for the foreseeable future, maybe forever. And so, how would I fix this? Well, it's actually not that hard. First off, and I'm looking at you, Snacksworth, I would never completely lock anything behind multiplayer. Make it easier to achieve with multiplayer, sure, give people a reason to use your online features, but never completely lock the availability of a Pokemon behind it. There are all kinds of people out there playing Pokemon from all walks of life and every place in the world most likely. Access to an internet connection in general or even a Nintendo Switch Online membership might not be something everyone has or can have. Having everything available, even in different tiers of difficulty, would make sure that this wasn't a problem. And then I would simply fix the AI. The NPCs that worked with you in online features really sucked in Sword and Shield. Like they really sucked. It felt like you were battling against a giant Pokemon while trying to survive everyone else that was clearly undermining you. Scarlet and Violet made this better, that is an absolute fact, as they now use support moves more and even cheer for you. But there's always room for improvement, like them knowing to not use status moves when the opponent's Terra Shield is up. This is assuming that they will continue with the raid feature, which I assume they will. I mean, Sword and Shield was the first game of the generation that came after Pokemon Go, so they kinda had to do something similar, but Scarlet and Violet, if they did it, it was because they are here to stay. Overall, these two things alone would make for a much better experience down the line for anyone trying out the game or coming back to it. By not having anything completely tied behind an online connection, you could get access to everything even after the Switch's online service was done with, like it happened with the 3DS's and the DS's service. And by having a good, competent AI, you made sure that if someone needs or wants to complete raids but they don't have access to anything online related, they are not tied to the frustrating, life-draining experience of dealing with NPCs like the ones we had in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. And that is all I have for you today. I believe that online features should be better developed in order to make sure that the game doesn't suffer from it in the long run. But what about you? Do you believe that those affect the game's replayability? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. Also, you can become a channel member or check out my merch in order to further support the channel. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.